Well, if there's one thing that comes across quite strongly in the Jesus story is that he comes down extremely heavily on hypocrisy. And where does such a sin, if you like, where does such a problem arise? Well, in societies, in especially organizations, you might earnestly join an organization because it seems to enshrine many of your values. And then when you're in it, you're forced to conform to some things that are not your values. And you therefore feel as if you're an accomplice in something that you don't actually at heart agree with. What's the mistake? Being in the situation you're in. In the story, what does Jesus join? Does he become a good Pharisee or a good Sadducee? No. He doesn't. I mean, it's the modern capitalist approach. We even have the notion that he's not working for anybody, apart from perhaps his dad in the workshop. Perhaps he's a carpenter. That's the sort of story we've got, isn't it? And Paul, similarly, he's a tent maker. He doesn't actually belong to anything. Not the church in Jerusalem. He goes there to get rebuked, apparently, but and forced to make a vow according to the writings that we've now got. Probably not what was written originally, but for some Roman church intention and invention, yes. I think we have in our culture, our sort of semi-pseudo-Christian culture, historically, a notion of the freedom of what we call free market capitalism, that it has certain advantages. We can see it has some appalling consequences as well, as regards not being very caring of the less able and the less privileged. But it has many advantages too. And this freedom of the individual in the market, by of course what Adam Smith declared was the hidden hand of God, turns out to be quite a blessing to society, at least in terms of material prosperity and comforts of living for those who are so privileged, of course, to receive such. But that seems to be many compared to some societies that are more hierarchically controlled. We worry about our own society being hierarchically controlled, not now by kings and princes, but by tycoons and industrial magnates. Entrepreneurs that perhaps are as ruthless as emperors were. We don't know. But whatever the case, it's interesting to note that Jesus isn't working for anybody. Well, apart from his heavenly dad, of course. And you say, well, he does make an organisation. He collects 12 disciples or apostles around him. Yes. And which do we remember from the story as being particularly significant in our spiritual life? None of them. The nearest comes is Paul, and he wasn't one of the 12 anyway. He comes later. Says it all, doesn't it? And Paul is a real individualist in resisting what the church would impose upon him, and, wow, being preoccupied with the Gentile world, not the Jewish world at all, really. You could say, but he went to the diaspora, the dispersed Jews in the Gentile world. Yeah, and he was rejected by them as well. He, Paul, as we receive him, which is a rewritten version courtesy of the Roman Church, is the doctrine that the Roman Church wanted. And resulted in, well, not even the current Christian religion, but I mean, whatever it did result in the next few thousand years. And it changes and adjusts, doesn't it? I mean, we're not on witch hunts now and crusades. The church is more in fossilized survival mode, with a few smoking flaxes here and there that just occasionally burst into life, but not often enough, and not on a comprehensive enough scale either. No, things have developed and changed so much down the ages that it's hard to see the parallel between gospel story and, say, story of John and John's gospel to be really much in line with the incredible variety of church views and theologies that have been extant in the last couple of thousand years. So considering hypocrisy, it does come of these organisations, doesn't it? And it comes in secular organisations too, whether it's politics or business, or voluntary associations and organisations, charities and so on, that we say one thing, apparently, in our allegiance to an organisation, when really we believe and value something different. And that's an unfortunate, even intended deception, isn't it? In large measure. We compromise. You don't see Jesus compromising, do you? You see him being cautious. I go not yet up to Jerusalem. Because, of course, he's not going to make himself vulnerable until he needs to or wants to be. You go up. And, of course, then he does go up, but secretly, as it were, in the story. And we can understand that. And his cagey answers when he's dealing with persecution by the religious authorities, it's because he's not daft. He knows what they're at, And he gives them an answer which scores points, really, with the onlookers. He makes his point, and they're made small by his remarks and his wisdom. And, well, it's an antagonistic situation, isn't it? And he's taking part in it. You could say that in the story, you can see the crucifixion coming, can't you? I mean, if he stays around long enough, this mob's going to get not the people, this ecclesia, this religion is going to get its own back on him if it can, and it will. So he's not taking his own advice of fleeing into the next city, is he? He's deliberately walking into the city that is going to give him the most trouble. And in the story, it's for a reason, and we take it as a good reason. If you find the story to be a blessing, that is. Do you? Well, if you do find it to be a blessing, please don't worship it as being absolutely God-given and right in every detail. Most things do not present like that in this world. And it's extremely hazardous to assume that things are perfect, complete, and worth worshipping as the absolute word of God. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Well, yes, to return to the point though, to avoid hypocrisy, well, a big part of it is being extremely cautious about what you belong to and what you're part of, who you work for, who you live amongst, who your friends are, who you're relating with. And that's pretty obvious, isn't it? So in this world, we're constantly being on our guard, really, checking that we're not getting too deep into relationship with that which is not as godly as we hoped. And so we look around to see if God's leading us into something more appropriate. Love you, Heavenly Dad. Thank you, Dad.